Hello everybody, welcome back to 2C TV. I'm Maya 2C and this is your latest update from the conflict in the Middle East. The Israeli Defense Forces are officially prepared to start their attack on Iran. The Biden-Harris administration are trying their best to sabotage those plans. And in this video, we're going to talk about the assassination attempt against Benjamin Netanyahu that completely failed in a humiliating way for the Iranian regime. So there's so much to discuss today. Obviously, we will be covering the assassination attempt on Bibi's home. But one of the main crisis points goes back to the last few decades, because the Western globalist side, CIA, of course, France and others as well, who helped the Islamic occupiers to take control of Iran, they have been trying their best to keep the Iranian regime in place, because it's always better to have a weaker enemy in Iran as opposed to a stronger equal partner. That policy continues. They're trying their best to save the Iranian regime, because it will be much better, less competition in the region, and they could also just have Saudi Arabia as the main partner to the West. But it's going to be changing, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this live, we'll get your reaction during the live chat as usual. First, we had this report about the US intelligence leak exposing Israel's plans on Iran, the attack. Two alleged US intelligence documents detailing Israel's attack preparations on Iran were leaked by a pro-Iran Telegram account. US officials are reportedly concerned, but haven't confirmed the authenticity of the documents. But then, of course, then it came out to say it was verified. One thing to mention is it wasn't necessarily detailed, but it was a leak. Secondly, the pro-Iranian regime Telegram accounts are the same accounts that it was exposed recently, that they've been collaborating with the Biden-Harris campaign and administration. Recently, they hacked Donald Trump's campaign team, and they gave the intel to Biden-Harris team. And obviously, the US intelligence side, because it was exposed, they had to be a little bit embarrassed, and they say, yeah, that was naughty. We didn't actually get any clarification from either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris whether they actually used the intel, because there was a lot of information about Trump and his campaign team that was exposed. But that was for a whole different conversation anyway. But this is the relationship between the Iranian pro-Iranian regime hackers and everybody else and the US administration. Now, Israeli defense forces have allegedly been handling ballistic missiles like Golden Horizon and Rocks since the October the 8th, with major activity at multiple air bases. A military exercise on the 15th of October reportedly involved refueling and search and rescue drills and everything else. This was according to the Middle East Spectator. And we knew all this was going to happen anyway, because last week we reported that the Israelis have finalized the plans. They didn't really reveal the plans, because that would be stupid. But there are speculations coming from the Middle East that suggests, again, it simply suggests, because if you knew, then what is the point of a surprise attack? It suggests that the attack could happen either imminently or over the next few days. A lot of people are saying by Wednesday, but we will wait for the information as well. Having said that, yesterday we had the assassination attempt against Netanyahu, which was a complete failure as usual. The Iranian regime, their proxies and their stupid drones continue to fail. But it goes back to what happened a few days ago. If you guys remember, there were a couple of drones that were departed from Lebanon a few days ago, and obviously some from Syria as well. One of them managed to go under the radar because they were flying low. One of them was intercepted, but the one that basically managed to escape did hit Israel. Now, looking back and what happened yesterday, a lot of people are saying that that was to test the system, the air defense system, and the radars, and to just do it as a trial run for what they wanted to do yesterday. And even yesterday was a failure. So everything continues to be a little bit embarrassing for the Islamist side. This is the video we have from after the failed attack on Netanyahu's residence. Yeah, so Nothing much really happened, but Prime Minister sent out this statement saying the attempt by Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, to assassinate me and my wife today was a grave mistake. This will not deter me or the state of Israel from continuing our just war against our enemies in order to secure our future. I say to Iran and its proxies, in its axis of evil, anyone who tries to harm Israel's citizens will pay a heavy price. We will continue to eliminate the terrorists and those who do dispatch them, which is the Iranian regime and the state of Qatar. We will bring our hostages home from Gaza and we will return our citizens who live on our northern border safely to their homes. Israel is determined to achieve all our war objectives and change the security reality in our region for generations to come. Together we will fight, and with God's help, together we will win. So that was the Prime Minister of Israel being robust after what almost happened yesterday. Again, it was just completely embarrassing. Having said that, Biden-Harris administration continue to sabotage the plans, but Netanyahu has one main ally in this whole thing, which is very important considering the next few weeks, and that is Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump continues to call for Iran's nuclear facilities to be attacked. He's the only major political figure right now around the world, one of the few, who is fully backing Netanyahu's ambitions to hit the nuclear sites, because there are still some people in the Israeli government who are trying to push back and saying, well, is this a strategically a right move? Is it worth it? Will it escalate things further? But there are some, obviously, in Israel who say, well, we have to, because we have to not just send a message, but also weaken the regime. And again, one of the main things is the nuclear program that has been helped by Barack Hussein Obama and Sleepy Joe and everybody else. So everything that Trump did for a few years to help reduce the risk and threats from Iran has been reversed over the last 3.5 years. But Trump is the only one who's coming out and saying, well, we have to restore peace and stability in the Middle East. And he wants to keep pushing for the Abraham Accords between the Arab world and Israel, but also the Cyrus Accords, which is between Iran and Israel. Not the current Iran, because it's occupied by the Islamic side, but after they go away, which will be soon. The way it's looking, these are the final days for the Islamic Republic of Iran. And of course, the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi and his followers are ready to go back to restore the Persian constitution and to bring back constitutional monarchy, democracy back to Iran. Now, following this, the Israeli TV and the Iranian TV have been showing off. So there's a number of clips have been coming out from the Iranian state TV, which is kind of fascinating. They're basically saying we are prepared not just to defend our country, but also to do the third wave of attacks on Israel. Because since Iran declared war on Israel, they've been waiting for the retaliation, but they're also considering to hit back. Well, hit again. It's not really hit back because Israel hasn't actually decided to defend itself yet. Let's go to a few seconds of what the Iranian state TV showed, and then we'll show what the Israelis are. So yeah, they're basically just boasting about how they are fully prepared, but it's not fully convincing that the Iranian military will be as strong as expected, because Iran has obviously the actual armed forces, which they force their civilians to join as well. But they also have the actual IRGC, the Basijis. These are the paramilitary that is actually in charge of the country, and they directly respond to the supreme leader. But the Israeli Defense Forces have also obviously prepared their troops and their equipment and everything else. And this is the video that we have from the IDF, I believe. Let's go to that one. Yeah, so all this is going to be obviously revealed over the next few days. Again, speculation suggests about Wednesday, up to Wednesday, we will find out what sort of attack Israel will be having against Iran, or it could be imminent, because the whole point is a surprise element. Could be tonight, could be within the next few hours, or could be Tuesday or Wednesday. While we are here, let's get some reaction from you guys. Super chat time. Suzanne, thank you very much from the US, saying, Maya, those of us in Israel, from Israel, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your support. Thank you very much for your support. Another is Catalina. Thank you very much for your super chat as well. Iran has never actually had to fight anything. Their troops are inexperienced. The Russia showed just how bad that combination is. This is a very, very good point to be made, by the way. So Iran as a country, since 1979, they had one long war with Iraq for 8 years. And that was obviously a surprise war for them, because Saddam went crazy and thought that he could just invade Iran and take over with the help of CIA. Because CIA realized that their plan backfired, because they backed the Islamic regime first against the communists, because they thought, well, the Shah is going, so let's get rid of him. But in order to stop the Soviet Union from taking control of Iran, they backed the Islamists. And that backfired, because the Islamists the next day came out and said death to America. Then they decided to back Saddam Hussein against Iran. Basically, the foreign policy from America has been a failure for decades. But then Iran should have lost that war immediately. The issue with this is that the Iranian nation defended the country, despite the fact that the Islamists had taken over. Because a lot of people said, well, it's still my country, I'm going to have to defend it. With lack of resources and support, Iran managed... nobody won the war, because it was basically a draw at the end. But technically, Iran won, because Iraq had to withdraw from the invasion. So the Iraqis and the Western globalists were surprised. Since then, the Iranian regime or the Iranian nation have not actually been in any war. Even for external enemies that they had, they've been using proxies. They've been training Hezbollah a lot and all the others and the Houthis now. But the reality is, even when they've had issues internally in their own country, any sort of civil conflict between the Iranian people and the Iranian regime, they've been using their proxies. So they pay the Iraqis, because Iran now owns a big chunk of Iraq, which is ironic, and Hezbollah of Lebanon and the others, they bring them to Iran to beat up their own people. So the Iranian military is completely inexperienced, and just doing military drills, it doesn't really mean that you'll be able to actually do something. One of the main things about the American side is that, because it's the American empire, whether you like it or not, it is the American empire. And they live in forever conflicts and wars. America is always somewhere doing something, right? That means they're always experienced. America is always ready. You cannot mess with the American armed forces. Whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing that the America is always involved in somewhere in the world, but at least that means they're always practiced. They're always warmed up. So let's see what else we have from you guys. Athena says, that's why Israel is sending Muslims in buttloads to the West. They want Christians and Muslims to genocide each other while they work on their Greater Israel project. Oh, that's so funny. This is what happens when you watch Disney Plus a lot. We've talked about this a lot. It's a very common strategy by any tribe, any country, any nation at any point. When you have troublemakers in your region, you try to push them out. France and Emmanuel Macron, they have a lot of illegal migrants and they are pushing them out towards England. And they are fine with them getting on a boat to come to England. It's always happened as well. The Greeks were doing it with the barbarians. The Persians did it with their enemies. The Roman Empire, used to basically force you to integrate into the Roman Empire. Otherwise, just go away. Move to Africa, whatever you want to go. So there have been enough Israelis in the Israeli political establishment who've been pushing for this. Let's just basically make things uncomfortable. If the Islamist Arabs don't want to be peaceful with the state of Israel, just push them away. Let them go somewhere else. Which is common sense. It makes sense. You can't blame them. Just like how you can't really blame Macron for doing what he's doing to our country in the UK. It's the job of your country and your government and your border security to keep the borders closed. That you cannot blame your problems on other people. Yes, if Israelis are sending Muslims somewhere else, you don't have to let them in. You idiots. Saudi Arabia are keeping their borders strong. Egypt are keeping their borders strong. It's our weak, liberal, globalist idiots in the political establishment who say, oh, yeah, welcome in. Do you want everything free house and a free mosque and everything else? It's complete insanity. Also genocide each other. As if Christians are going to go around starting wars for no reason. It would go a little bit against Christianity in 2024. Also, the fact that you're basically admitting if you send Muslims somewhere there will be violence, you're basically admitting that the Islamic ideology comes with violence. Wherever they go, there will be violence. Maybe the problem is with the Islamic side. Because Christians go everywhere. They don't cause trouble in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Carmel, for your support from Australia, and Peg Sama as well, super sticker. Let's see if we could find any more anti-Semites. Where are the anti-Semites? These people don't even know what genocide means. I know. Well, if you guys watched our report from the protest yesterday, the hate march with the far left and Islamists, because it was funny because you had that fat guy with the Cuban flag in the middle of a so-called protest about the fake place of Palestine, and he was standing there with the Cuban flag, right? Promoting communism. Which makes sense because obviously Marxism and Islamism go hand in hand. But it looked weird, Cuban flag in the middle of London. But there were people, if you watched that live stream before I was targeted, as usual, you might have seen I was trying to ask some questions. And there was this weird white boy, I think it was ginger, usually they're ginger, with earrings and all that, standing there with a sign saying Israel is an apartheid, the other one was saying genocide. And I just said, can you explain this? What define it? What do you mean? They just didn't want to respond. Like, nope, didn't want to respond. Which is just completely awkward. Anyway. David says, your next door neighbor Mohammed is coming for your daughters to breed more terrorists. Starmer says you're not allowed to stop him or you will face jail. Yeah, don't get me started with Keir Starmer. Arnold says, guess who's back? Back again. Arnie's back. That's Arnold. Yep, thank you. Silence says, I just don't want Middle East politics to influence the UK anymore, to be honest. Sick of Israel and Palestine. I just want to see the English flag. Well, if you want to see an English flag, you have to fight for freedom across the whole world so that people could just be nationalists in their own countries. Everybody should put their own countries first. Australia first, Canada first, America first, Israel first, Iran first, and Britannia first. Whoa. Deliverance Liberty says the root religion of Islam is Judaism. So is Judaism Marxism? When did Islam firstly become a legitimate religion? Well, over the last couple of centuries, apparently we made it a real religion, even though it was never taken seriously by anybody in the world. Secondly, just because they plagiarized from the Bible and the Old Testament doesn't mean they have any connection to the Christians or the Jews. Just because you steal something, for example, you have Owen Jones in Britain is a left-wing grifter. He started the YouTube channel after I did, after he got technically fired by The Guardian. I don't know what happened there. And there are a number of people who do similar things that I do. It doesn't mean they have any connections to 2CTV. Just because somebody steals, copy and paste some of the stuff from the New Testament or the Old Testament and then twists it, they completely misrepresent the whole thing. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes because they were idiots. They didn't realize what they were actually reading, including the section about if you kill one man, you've killed all humanity, which is actually from the Talmud, not even from the Torah, which is not technically a word from God. But then they changed it. So basically, the Islamic version is, they basically then say to the children of Israel, you're not allowed to kill other people, but we're allowed to kill you. It's not a religion. It's a political ideology. It has nothing to do with Christianity or Judaism. People believe everything. All right. Catalina says, Maya, if Israel attacks Iran's nuclear facilities, when the Iranian regime falls, will that piss off the Iranian people too much? Why? Will that compromise Israel-Iran relations? No, because the Iranian people in Iran are telling Israel to hit the IRGC, the Islamic Republic. Since 1979, Iran as a country has been taken over by the Islamic occupiers. It's an Islamic occupation, and people are trying to fight back, but they're not armed, and the Iranians are not revolutionary people anyway, so they're all either in prison or dead, and they want to fight. They're supporting Israel to defend itself, meanwhile also help them to weaken the regime so that the Iranian people could finish the uprising. The Iranian people don't trust the Americans to go and liberate them, so just stay away. As long as you don't help the Iranian regime, just stay away. But they know if Israel in self-defense hits the Iranian regime, it will help the Iranian people. It's the Iranian people who keep saying, hit the nuclear sites, because what they want is, after the regime falls, they want to go back to the historic alliance between the Persians and the Jews, and other Iranians as well, Persian Iranians, Kurdish Iranians, all the other ethnicities in Iran. And that's literally what they want. Solomon says, hi Maya, love from Israel. Hello Solomon, thank you very much. And Dave says, glad to be part of your community now. Love for Israel. Thank you very much. Yes, the UK aren't revolutionary either as people. Yes, so there are a lot of similarities. I think I did a video a while ago about the weird coincidental similarities between the Iranians and the Brits, especially the Persian Iranians, and the British culture and the English. There's a jokey comparison, for example, that the Brits don't call themselves European. They say we are British but not European. Nothing against Europe, but it's just the difference because of the English channel between the continents and Britain. And the Persians say we're not Asian, we are Persian. And then in terms of even the sense of humor, sarcasm, dark sense of humor, all that nonsense. But neither nation have been revolutionary, because there were never real revolutions in either throughout history. So, for example, technically England had English Civil War, but that was still fought by people in power and the elites. We've had the Peasants' Revolt back in the day in England. They were different type of revolts and movements, basically, but not really revolutions. So, for example, you had the Oliver Cromwell, who basically took over and became a dictator. Then the Brits were like, well, that was a mistake. Let's go back to monarchy. Same with Iran. Obviously, the one revolution, which is not a revolution, it was a paramilitary coup in 1979. A bunch of idiots with guns, Marxists and communists, took over, and people were watching like, what is going on? And then the media across the world sold it as a popular uprising, a revolution. It wasn't a revolution. It was a group of people with guns going around killing everybody. And so neither nation throughout history have been revolutionary, unlike the French. Unlike the Arab world, for example, there are nations and tribes next to, for example, Britain, next to Iran, that have been revolutionary, but not necessarily the actual United Kingdom, the English, or the Iranians. That's what they're not really used to. That's what they will find it very difficult to fight against tyranny. Unlike, for example, the Americans, because it was in the American blood from day one. The people who moved to the Americas from Ireland, from England, and these type of places, back in the day, centuries ago, they were the same people, because they were already revolutionary to say, I don't want to be ruled by kings and queens. I want to be my own king. I'm just going to go to Americas. I'll choose to go there. I either survive or die. I'll be my own king. That's the whole point. And so they were already revolutionary. So when the British Empire went a little bit crazy with taxes, the American people said, you know what, we're going to fight back, because they had the revolutionary blood in them. The people who stayed in England and in Ireland and other places, then they were not revolutionary. There's nothing good or bad about it. It's just different type of personalities. What else we have? Donna says, my daughter and grandson are ginger. Love gingers. Yeah, we do make a lot of jokes about gingers. Sorry about that. I love gingers. Solomon, thank you again for your super chat, saying, will us attacking Iran's oil facilities as opposed to the mullah's nukes? piss off the Iranians, since it can be used for civil infrastructure. After all, it currently funds terror. No, but the Iranian people understand that it's a necessary thing to do, because they're the only way to weaken the regime. And these are the same people who've been saying the sanctions by Trump have been tough, but it was necessary. They knew that their life became harder, but they supported Trump's sanctions, because they knew that long term it will bring down the regime. Anyway, yes, we're going to keep you guys posted on this anyway, over the next few hours. But we have a lot to talk about today on 2C TV, especially about what happened yesterday at the protest where we went to, and also the rest of the Hamas supporters in London. They've been causing more trouble over the weekend. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.